Hey guys, real quick before the episode, I just want to say thank you for bearing with our little hiatus from the Yancey Street Speakeasy. I want to thank all of our international listeners who we've sort of just discovered that we had after the hiatus, and you can find us at maxdean.org, where we have all of our Yancey Street Speakeasy episodes, and you can find us at Viva la France, where the E at the end is a 3, so Viva la Franc 3 on Instagram. That's got all of Tracey's original artwork. And finally, I just want to say real quick that Tracey will be a little bit quiet in the beginning of the episode, but I wouldn't turn it up because I do fix it pretty quickly, and it might be kind of loud after that. So thanks. This is Max.
And this is Tracey, and these are all three sounds of our voices. Thanks so much for tuning in. We again would contact us. We would love to hear from our viewers. We're so stoked to see that our little virtual nest egg of a viewership has grown during our hiatus. So love you guys, and I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Here comes the show.
Password?
We're back.
Hey,
Oh, wait, thank you.
Buy the cheap shit again. It tastes like this. Look at these two fucking ass clowns walking in like they own the place.
Doing a show here.
Goddamn millennials.
Welcome back to the Yancey Street Speakeasy, episode number 20. We are back. I'm Max.
And I'm Tracey.
And this is the first reunion episode of the Yancey Street Speakeasy. We've been offline for a little while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
It's been a minute. We weren't expecting to be off so long, but we're back.
Yeah, look at us. We're so fancy. We MacGyvered away back into your lives.
Yep, it took a little bit of finagling, but
I like butts.
All right. Yes. Well, we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. So,
I hope there's not too much of a delay on my side. I hope you lovelies can hear us do our thing.
Yeah, so what we are doing today is Tracey is in Pennsylvania. I am here in Key West still. And we have... Pennsylvania. And we have jerry-rigged it so that his call via Skype should be recording on our podcasting recording. So he might be a little bit quieter than me, but otherwise I think it's working just fine.
Yeah, I bought a brand new microphone for this asshole, so it better work.
He's still my art slave, even though he's all the way in Pennsylvania. I was like, hey man, buy this and do this podcast.
Yeah, do the things, buy the stuff. Yes, sir. Please don't hit me again. You'd think I'd break out but it's at this point it's Stockholm syndrome, so I'm pretty much in love with the man. So let's, which we'll find out later how much in love we are, because we're going to be doing a newlyweds test with each other, just for funsies.
Okay. So there's a little bit of a new layout to the Yancey Street Speakeasy. We figured if we're going to reboot it, kind of, that we might add a little bit more structure. So first off, we're going to do some news. And then we're going to do our main topic, which will be a review. Today is just going to be one particular item, but in the future it may be one or two things. And then after that, we're going to play a little game.
Oh. I like games. I like the way you say games.
And then we are going to do a little rundown of what we've been up to in the pop culture world. So what we've been watching, what we've been playing, and then that's going to be it. So today, normally our news is going to be a little bit more about what's going on in the world of comic book movies, comic books, TV shows, video games, this, that, and the other. But today, since it's a bit of a reunion, we're gonna do a little bit of news about what's going on in our lives So, Tracey, do you want to talk about all the really boring things that are in your life, so that we can get through it, and then talk about the interesting things that I've been doing?
First of all, fuck you. Second of all, yes, I would love to. Because I had a little situation down in Key West. The situation was that I couldn't live in Key West anymore because I didn't have an apartment and an immediate way to pay myself. I was intending on getting a position with the Park Service. That
Key West actually kicked him out. They were like, you can't come back.
There was an angry mob. There were torches and pitchforks. It was a whole thing. So now I'm banned, and I hate all of you. So no. So I left because I couldn't really support myself financially down there at the moment, and the job position that I had lined up wasn't panning out. I came back up, moved back in with my parents because I'm a cool kid. I'm a millennial, and
because you are a grown-up boy.
I'm a grown-up boy. Yeah, well, it was just like this situation. I'm just trying to finish up my master's project, and I needed somebody to help me learn some software that I didn't know how to use, and my school was like, everybody was too busy at my school. Every time I go up to like ask for help, I would get like rescheduled and stuff. It was very, very strange time in my life. I felt like I was doing nothing. So I came back up here, I met some lovely people at the Bradford County Planning and Mapping Office. Call out to my boy Richie. He doesn't even know that I do a podcast, but screw it, because gotta show him some love. Dude's whiz at the computer. He's been helping me put my data together. And while I've been doing that, I was working at a winery. So I've been working at a winery, and actually yesterday I got a call from them as I was leaving them, and they were just like, "Yeah, we don't need you to work here anymore." I was like, "What?" And there was.
Were you in the parking lot? And they just
I was like literally.
You?
I was literally like the winery is like a 5-minute walk from my house. So as I was leaving, they called me while I was still in the parking lot, and they're like, "Yeah," because they only had me on as I didn't know how long I was going to be up here. So I told them that I would probably just be like a temporary part-time worker, and so they just like called me as I was leaving. They're like, "Yeah, the summer employees are." School's starting again. We don't need summer employees anymore. Bye. And I was like, oh, okay, bye. Which is fine because the school year actually starts on Monday in my hometown. So I'm going to start substitute teaching. I'm going to learn me a new generation of kids. It's very weird. I don't feel like I should be teaching people that are only like 6 and 7 years younger than me. But, I
don't feel like you should be teaching anyone, no matter the age.
No, you're absolutely correct. I'm a horrible influence, and you should probably not listen to this podcast because what am I teaching you? So anyway, so other than that, work occasionally with the Municipal Water Authority. I read water meters sometimes, so that's cool and scary because my town has like some very like da 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 folks, like some folks that could definitely be in the movie Deliverance. But we're working on that. I definitely didn't get a nasty look from a dude holding a baseball bat in his porch while I tried to read his water meter. So yeah, other than that, I've just been enjoying and kicking back, enjoying life, getting some art done, playing some guitar, and I found myself a gal while I was up here, and so that's nifty. Max, what have you been up to?
Well, since Tracey left, my wife has returned from her international exploits, and so we have been spending some time together. My small child has been growing within her, so that's also happening,
like physically and emotionally.
Yes. And then I left one of my jobs, and I'm just focusing on the other now. So now I'm totally topless. I'm all about topless all the time, every day.
He's always topless.
Yep.
All the time.
They keep telling me to put my shirt on at work, but I feel like I'm entitled to bare my nipples to anybody around me. So.
And honestly, if somebody actually like told you to put your nipples away, I feel like they'd be depriving the world of something beautiful.
Because just when they say it to me, it doesn't really seem like they mean it. So it's like it's fine.
they're like, Max, you should like. I know there are rules. You should like really put them away, but I love them. Like, could you sign this thing? But you should probably put them away because management.
Yeah, so it hasn't been an issue so far, which is good.
Wonderful. They're perfectly sized. They're completely round. I swear to Christ, they're made of gold. Platinum even.
Yeah.
Whatever has a higher market value.
It varies day to day. But yeah. So there's that as far as work goes. I really haven't been doing much creatively. That's why I would periodically text Tracey and kind of whine that nothing was happening. And then I just decided, and I said, fuck it. I am going to figure out how to make it work, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, and now spend money on this technology, and here we are. I can tell you that in a little bit of fun news that very recently we have to travel a little bit for my wife's pregnancy, so there's not a lot of quality options for healthcare in Key West, as anyone who lives here is pretty well aware, and if you don't live here, then this may be news to you. But so true. we are traveling to mainland Florida pretty much weekly for caregiver services for the pregnancy and eventually for the birth. And most recently, the last time we were there, on the way back, I pulled into a good old McDonald's, and
that was your first mistake.
Yes, well, now I honestly think I've lost a taste for McDonald's forever, because my rental car got broken into, and a good number of expensive and valuable things were stolen very quickly. I mean, they were experts, I swear to Christ. We went in, we were in there for 10 minutes. We didn't eat there. We just took the food, and my wife was going to go to the bathroom, and we're just going to take the food and go on the road home, and goddamn, they smashed the window, took everything, and were gone. On the video camera, the car literally pulls up the second we walk inside. They were waiting for us. It was crazy.
Jesus.
But so some valuable items, including my iPad Pro, which Tracey was doing a lot of artwork on before he left, is now gone. My wife's iPhone is gone. Her green card, her permanent resident immigrant card, is gone. Her Florida state ID is gone. Her social security card is gone. Quite a few other things. Both of our prescription eyeglasses are gone. It's just, and the funniest thing is, even though in the moment it was really frustrating, 3 days later, personally speaking, I can say the most frustration I had was that my deodorant was in the bag that they stole, and I was too busy to buy a new stick of deodorant. So I lamented more about my sweaty armpits for about 3 full days before I could replace that. And when you think about that, it kind of puts in perspective, like, it's just stuff.
I lament your sweaty armpits all the time. I feel, but honestly, I really feel that, because that's like one of the things that I would definitely because like the other stuff is like big ticket items. You will not forget that you are missing that item, and I will sometimes go like a week on end without replacing the toilet paper roll. And my usual philosophy is, if it takes more than 4 wipes, you just take a shower. So it gives you an insight into my life.
So 4 wipes at the gas station, and you just sit your ass in the sink and take a full-on shower.
That is not what I meant, but I love where you're going with this.
Well, I know you take a lot of gas station shits, so
I always wipe in the sink too. Man, it's just courtesy. I'm trying to spread my personal brand of bacteria around enough so that next time the flu season comes around, your immune system will already be prepared. You're welcome, America.
Tracey basically grows multiple strains of the flu inside him at any given moment.
Yeah, you could. I mean, some people call me a bioterrorist. I call myself a visionary.
Okay, so I think that's enough news.
Never enough.
All right, so that leads us to today, this very moment, and a quick update. So we since we parted ways, Ant-Man and the Wasp has come out.
Oh man!
And we saw it separately. Yeah. And we haven't really talked about it too much. I mean, we texted a little bit, but we were both kind of busy, so we never really had a full-blown conversation. So I think now's as good a time as any.
I agree. I'm just going to start off by saying that I thought it was really good. It was excellent, in fact. As like that's just the Marvel pedigree. Like, their movies tend to be excellent, but to like varying levels. We talked in length about this on the episode where we talked about our favorite. We ordered our favorite, and it was just like such a painstaking thing because all of them are good, but some of them are just greater than others. And I think this was up there for me. I can't tell if I like it more than the original or not, but I enjoyed it immensely the entire time through, even the cartoony shit with like the giant ant playing the drums and everything like that. And I'm sad that was one of the after credit sequences, but
that was kind of, anyway,
bit of
I guess we'll get there, but it just didn't make any sense. It just was like,
no, it's just, hi, I'm here. I'm also here.
I think it was kind of what they were doing with, I think it was what they were doing with Spider-Man Homecoming when, they have Steve Rogers on there saying, when you're really looking forward to something and you're waiting and you're waiting and then it's just not worth it. I think that's kind of what they were doing. They were kind of like, fuck you. But
can I say a thing? So actually you reminded me you reminded me of one of my old algebra teachers who, looking back on the way that he said this, was incredibly sexist. Is basically what I got to the end of that movie and I heard him say, it was like, like sometimes you wait for something, it doesn't happen. And it just reminded me of this old saying that my old algebra teacher used to say. And he used to say, patience is a virtue, possess it if you can, seldom in a woman, always in a man. And I was like, I like giggled at that when I was in 8th grade, but then I like looked back on that and I was like, oh yeah, that's a little sexist, dude. Come on.
A little bit. I think it's kind of the definition of the word.
Well, yes, you're right, but also shut up. And that's an interesting point. But have you ever considered shut up?
Well, my 8th grade science teacher ended up getting fired because he was a little bit too touchy.
Oh, that's not something that's not something that's fun. That's a really shitty thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he was an outright molestor, but it's better if you roll. But like that's like you have to. That's what you put when you have to like announce that you're like a sex. You're a sexual. You have to go door to door in your neighborhood. No, I'm
a molestor.
I just want you to know, I technically the state wants you to know that in the past I have been, convicted of some activities that might be considered molestoring, but
I'm a sex offender, but I prefer to think of myself as a molestor. It's like a molester, but sexier. That is not a good joke. I'm immediately sorry I made that joke. Let's jump back in. Ant-Man and the Wasp was a good movie. Yeah, I had fun. The Wasp. I'm glad the Wasp was there. Evangeline Lilly was dope as hell. So like we need. I'm I'm like all about that. I'm all about getting those powerful women characters in there. So psyched to see her just kicking names and taking ass, man. It was great. She was destroying dudes. Like whenever she was on the screen, like you're always like, oh yeah, she's got the situation. Like when Ant-Man's there, you always feel like something's gonna happen. Like anything could happen. But when Evangeline Lilly steps in, she just wrecks house, and the situation's covered.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed it. I'd have to look back at the list that we did because it's been a while now. But I would, if I had to just like randomly place it, I think that it would probably be above the first Ant-Man.
Yeah,
but not like way above. I can't remember where I put the last one. If I had to guess, it's probably like somewhere between 12 and 14. So I would probably put it like maybe one ahead. So this Ant-Man would be somewhere between. It would be 12 or 13, I think.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I hadn't decided if I wanted to put it one ahead or one below because there were some things. There was some like garbled story elements, but I thought the humor was spot on. And like now that I'm looking back at it, they actually used the giant sentient ant as like a Paul Rudd decoy in the house, which was really, really funny to me, and actually kind of a clever way to use the fact that there's a human-sized ant in your house because they stuck the monitor on him. But what I thought Ghost was hella cool, super 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 cool. Lawrence Fishburne, right? That he was the giant man.
No, he was Goliath.
That's the one. Gigantor. He was a really cool character. I like. Ghost was a really cool, sympathetic character. There wasn't really a villain in that movie.
Sonny Birch. There was no main villain. There was kind of like a lot of characters who. I think Sonny Birch was the only straight up evil portrayal that they had.
But he was
kind of comic relief though.
Yeah, he was so incompetent. Can you even count him? Like, I never felt...
It's sad because, man, he's such a good actor. Walton Goggins is a great villain.
He is.
If you let him. And
yeah, exactly. He's fun to hate. He's really fun to hate.
But, so I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I definitely kind of knew before going in that the comedy was going to be more... what I liked than the actual story arc, And so just knowing that going in, I definitely wasn't disappointed. So I just kind of took it for what it was. I think that I'll be honest that I like that they can make Ant-Man and the Wasp into a franchise that can carry itself. But I definitely prefer at least Ant-Man as part of the team. I feel like he is ideal as that, at least from my personal preferences.
I agree. He's kind of weirdly estranged from the rest of the cast. It's sort of bizarre to see him in those movies, and I don't know, just because he was such a recent addition to the team, and he was in his own movie, and then all of a sudden he was in Civil War, and all of a sudden nothing forever. And then boom, here's Ant-Man and the Wasp, and so it was a little bit jarring. Like I actually kind of they sometimes when they try to shoehorn the solo movies into the larger universe, it can come off a little weird. But I thought it was really cool that they managed to sneak in the fact that he's under house arrest the entire time because he technically was an outlaw. When he sided with Cap, so that was a cool way to kind of make the overall story relevant to the singular story.
Yeah, I thought they fit it in. I didn't think it was too forced, but it didn't feel supernatural either. Like it didn't.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna happen anytime you have This is the only real successful shared universe that we've ever seen. And so we're going to they are going to hit snags along the way. And I think that one of the reasons that it's been so successful so far is because in many of the series or many of the franchises, up until this point, they've been separate, and this is the first time we've seen them convene. So, like, for instance, Guardians of the Galaxy, they were separate, and Doctor Strange was separate. So it didn't feel like... whoa, what the hell's been happening to them all this time? Even though Doctor Strange came out like right around the same time as Civil War and Ant-Man. Whereas with Ant-Man, we saw him in Ant-Man and then we saw him in Civil War. And it wasn't really that much of a difference in time, but it kind of feels like we've had no update on him for that whole time. So I think one of the things is that once you've introduced characters to each other and then you have movies that are going on, it starts to feel like, well, you need an update regularly on this character and this character, because if they're in proximity, then they, like in Infinity War, it didn't feel like if the fate of the universe is at stake, then I don't really think that house arrest is something that you think about. So, like, you know what I mean? If Cap is desperate for people to protect the Earth, then he should go fucking get Scott Lang and be like, dude, like, half of the entire universe is going to be gone if we lose. So if you stay on house arrest, it kind of was like, I mean, it just, I know they were trying to balance a lot, but it needed more than one line. Like, it really needed, like, even a scene where they're on the Quinjet and he makes a phone call and he turns him down because of what happened after the last time. Like, it just needed more. Like, Cap.
Well, I mean,
Cap
you saw.
But Cap is too sharp and too aware of the stakes. So he's not like, be like, house arrest, well, I guess we can't get him. It's like he would make the effort to get everybody. So I think that maybe it's just nitpicking, but to me, it just felt like there needed to be something more there.
Yeah, I'm with you. My only defense of that is, I mean, obviously the end credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp was pretty intense with him stuck in the quantum realm and everything like that. That was...
okay. So, but the thing is that I get it. And when I first saw Infinity War, I didn't feel like it was an issue because I didn't know what was actually going on with Scott Lang, and it was kind of a mystery. And so, maybe they said that he's on house arrest, and that there was maybe a lot more going on that we were going to find out about later. But now that I've seen what was actually happening, and even though he had some shit going on, it was unbeknownst to the other characters. It was kind of silly and casual, and just kind of feels like detached. Everything could have stayed the same. Like, and there's a few points in the MCU where I said everything could have stayed the same. You don't need to change the whole story. It's just there's a few things that just didn't quite fit, and to not even attempt to get that assistance, considering what was at stake, like, I didn't feel like there was enough going on to warrant not even trying.
Well, I do have a small theory with so that whole scene with them at the end, like right before, I kind of feel like maybe they did know what was going on with the events of Infinity War, like. Because I know they seemed like really uncaring and everything, but they were obviously ready to risk another jump into the quantum realm, which is, as we've seen throughout the entire movie, a very risky, very like dangerous thing. I feel like they knew of the stakes and they were trying to find something in the quantum realm to help them. Because they never like truly specify why they're jumping back in, other than like scientific purposes. But I feel like
I've only seen it once, but I thought they said it was because they were trying to get more quantum energy to help Ghost.
Oh, never mind. You're right. I completely forgot about that.
I think they said that, and even if not, then it was still. I mean, maybe there will be some more. I mean, I know that Ant-Man is going to play a larger role in Avengers 4, so I guess I should just relax and see what happens. But that was just my reaction. Like, not that I hated it, not that I was really upset. It just seems like they do such a good job of kind of making reasonable jumps, you know, because a lot of these fantasy stories, especially the bigger they get, they start to just happen because plot, and you're just expected to accept a lot of stuff, but they've done such a good job, and it's probably my favorite thing about the whole shared universe that they've developed, that in kind of saying, well, this happens because of this, and this fits in here because of this, and I love that, and that's just one of those things that I really enjoy, and I felt like that was something that they didn't quite, you know, they didn't quite nail.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you there, I guess. I mean, like, not to say that I didn't enjoy the movie, just it's the Ant-Man really is kind of an outlier with the rest of the movies. It's very strange how they made it like its own thing. I mean, but overall, I thought the movie was fantastic. The humor was spot on. Like you said, it was a little bit convenient and light on plot, but I didn't really care because I was just immersed in the really great. So here's the thing, because they got such great minds and studio artists to do all of that really trippy Doctor Strange work, like all the stuff from like the mirror dimension and then like him opening his mind and stuff like that in the very beginning. They had some great artists to kind of take care of that aspect. So I was so blown away by that when I saw the Doctor Strange movie, that even though the effects for the quantum realm were like equally as trippy and amazing, it was kind of like I had like a moment of like, yeah, I've been there, seen that, which I feel kind of crappy for, because it was really awesome. The quantum realm looked dope as hell. Like I loved exploring it. I just felt like
no, I agree with you. The thing is that we've already seen everything we saw in that movie. The only thing that was genuinely sort of new and exciting was Ghost. But I mean, I thought she was cool, but I didn't think she was like a. Maybe it's just Ghost, because I knew what her power set was going to be, but the only thing that was really new and fun and exciting was seeing Wasp in action. That was fun for me.
I agree. Well, because like Ghost's movesets, like she's basically just a powered down version of Vision, because Vision can do the phasing thing too.
Yeah, and we've already seen the quantum realm in very briefly in Doctor Strange, and already like, you know, a little bit in Ant-Man. So I feel like if you want to go back, you need to give us something more. You need to give us something that we just caught like, that's the thing. In Ant-Man, we caught a glimpse of the quantum realm, and then we really wanted to see more of it, but they didn't really go back into it. They spent about the same amount of time in the quantum realm in Ant-Man and the Wasp that they did in the first Ant-Man, and they didn't show us really anything new as far as I remember.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure that they're going to have to do something with that in Avengers 4, because obviously Scott Lang doesn't stay trapped there. He's probably going to have like a journey of self-discovery or something, or find out.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to it very much. It's just, I think that they've done such a good job of creating hype for the next and creating hype for the next, that if you're gonna put Ant-Man and the Wasp between Avengers 1 and Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, you've got to give us just a little taste of something that's hype, you know?
Yeah. Hype.
Like it very much felt like Avengers 3.01. You know, it felt like you know what I mean? It's like it didn't feel like even a 0.5 where you get a little update that's a taste of the next version. It just felt like this is the exact same thing you just saw, except we've included the color turquoise as well as blue indigo, you know.
We're being super critical of this movie that I think was really, really fun. But yeah, I almost see it as like a palate cleanser if you're considering the MCU like a full course meal or something like that. Like, it's just like, all right,
that's true.
all right, you've had the main course. Here's like a bowl of like miso soup before dinner or something.
It's true though, because now that you say that, I remember how emotional Avengers Infinity War was, and it was kind of nice to go into a movie and not be not stress.
Yeah, because I bought it on DVD. I bought it on DVD and watched it the other night and started sobbing again while I was watching it. It's like my dad was like watching it. He's like, "Oh man, bummer," and I'm sitting over there, yeah, it's really a bummer.
Oh man, but I mean, I remember the first time I watched it. Even though I was really not feeling well at the time, I was so entranced. I thought at any moment any of my favorite characters could die. Like it is a roller coaster of emotions. If you care about this, if you care about the franchise, it is a roller coaster.
No, for real.
And with this movie, it was much. Even though honestly, I thought Avengers: Infinity War was funnier, Ant-Man and the Wasp was definitely much sillier. Which I appreciated.
Yes. Well, the funniness is really bizarre, and I said this in our review of Infinity War. It's insane how much Infinity War got you to laugh at its like just how the characters bounced off each other, all the dry wit and everything like that. But also, you've just got knots in your stomach the entire movie. I can't commend the Russo brothers enough for how they wrote Thanos. And how intimidating he was, just like right from the get-go. Like they're just like they're setting a level, they're setting a bar for him. They're like, okay, what can we do? Let's have him kick the shit out of the Hulk. Let's do it. And then they did. And then for the rest of the movie, and then they have him murder Loki and Heimdall. The rest of the movie, every time he shows up, you're just on edge the entire time because you don't know when one of your favorite characters is going to bite it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is they've gone on the record saying, and Avengers 4, we honestly think is our best work. And considering all the other stuff they put out, in theory, that's really exciting. But when your favorite artist, they put out an album that you liked, and then they put out another one that you were like, oh my god, this is so good. And then in promo for the stuff that they're working on for their next single release and next album, they're like, man, this is the best we've ever done. And then it comes out, and you're like, oh man, they just got too full of themselves because this sucks. So
no, don't say that. I'm
know.
sure.
But I'm just it's what they've done so much good that it's probably safe to trust them, but at the same time, it's scary. It's scary for something that I enjoy so much to put all the hype up. It's
coming into this podcast, I knew that our discussion on Ant-Man and the Wasp was going to devolve into more like Infinity War praise and stuff like that. I knew it was going to happen.
I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was fun, but honestly, you want to know the truth? The whole time, I was watching for any tie-in to Infinity War, just because that, I think that, I think maybe for average America who's not diehard Marvel fan before all of this, that Ant-Man and the Wasp was a really nice relief for them, and maybe easier to stomach. But for me, in our ranking, Infinity War was my number one because I like the tension, I like the drama. So
it's fantastic. Well, it's funny that you say that because like the very first movie that my new lady friend and I saw together was the first Ant-Man, because she really wanted to see Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I'm like, well, you realize that's a sequel, like sequel / 20th installment in a franchise. And she's like, oh, because she works at a movie. She's working part-time at a movie theater. So she saw people who were like raving over the movie. So she wanted to see it with me. And I said,
I want to work at a movie theater. I wish they paid more. It would make me so happy.
I would love to do that as well. I might actually do that like along with substitute teaching, because that'd be like a night job and that's my day job.
Tracy, maybe we should open a movie theater.
dude, let's open a movie theater. Let's start a band.
let's open a movie theater where we play as the band in the lobby, so people have to listen to us.
Like you have to listen to our 5-minute set before you enter the theater.
Yeah, we'll keep the velvet rope closed until we finish our set.
Well, yeah, so. I'll play the drums and you whistle. That's our band.
Oh man!
Like, sure. Was it Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros? They had that. They had all those songs where they had like whistlers like in the background, like Home or that's
how good that band would be. What? So that was Tracey whistling. The part that you heard before that. Imagine a casual drum beat behind that. That's how good our band would be.
Oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. Yeah, I have the most casual, like vanilla drum beat. It's like tap 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 tap, and I was like, yeah, I got rhythm. That's it. But
it would already be the band that you described would be improved tenfold by me drumming and you whistling. I promise you that.
No, we've got to do it the other way around because then it wouldn't be funny. But like I was saying, but yeah, Ant-Man, because of that, I kind of like it because I like it, love it or hate it. Like it's a little divisive because I agree. I wish Ant-Man tied in a little bit more, but also it's a very accessible movie and all that good stuff. Like that's because that's how I introduced my lady friend to the MCU was I showed her Ant-Man and she loved it, and I showed her Ant-Man and the Wasp and she loved it more, and then she was like, are there more? And I was like, whoa. And so then we just jumped right into Iron Man. She loved it. It was just really funny because I was telling Max the other day that she loved all of the movies that we had put like near the bottom of our list. And it was just funny because Max doesn't like his like the cartoony like the stuff that's in for the kids and stuff, and she loves all that stuff. Like we watched Iron Man 3 and she thought that was her favorite of all of the movies.
Hey Tracey,
like, yeah.
How old is she?
Shut up. No, she's only like 4 or 5 months younger than me, I think.
Sorry.
You is a asshole. But yeah, it's just really funny. Well, I'm excited because we just watched Thor: The Dark World. It was actually a lot better than I remember it that one time that I watched it. I'm
glad you got to see it again.
I'm glad I got to see it again too. It was better than I gave it credit for. I think I'd still keep it in its place in the ranking, but still solid movie, just fun. Low-key Thor banter is always good. Next one we're going to watch is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm super stoked because we've already watched Ant-Man, so the next what's happening in our list, skipping Ant-Man, is going to be Guardians, Age of Ultron, and Civil War.
Okay, cool.
So three biggins.
Cool.
Yep.
So I guess just to sort of round up with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So it was funny. It was silly funny, not like tight funny.
Yeah.
It was kind of floppy loose funny.
Yeah. What did it add to the MCU?
What did it add to the MCU? That's a good question. It touched more on the quantum realm. It told us a little bit about how there is energy in the quantum realm that you can absorb if you're there, that it's kind of just free raining energy.
Yeah.
It told us a couple of more people who disappeared, and I totally love this phrase. I don't know who came up with it, but the snapshot. That's so perfect. Have you heard that?
No.
The snapshot. Instead of the rapture, the snapshot. That was so. I loved that.
That's great.
So I am using it from now on.
It gave us Michael Douglas's wife.
Oh, you know what? One thing I forgot to mention is that I think actually Hank Pym's character development was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, honestly.
Yeah, it was really great. Like he really fleshed him out other than like a paranoid genius.
Yeah, you know, I think in the first Ant-Man, you kind of feel like he's just condescending towards Scott because Scott's kind of dumb. Like, you know, he's smart, but he's dumb at the same time. Mm-hmm. But then they go on with that in this, and he's just kind of a condescending douchebag in general, and they portray that as someone who people recognize, but who alienates other people over time. I thought they did a really nice job with that, honestly. I thought as a non-lead, I mean, I like Michael Douglas, so I thought he did a good job with it, but in terms of the writing for the character, I thought that was really good. Yeah,
I agree. It was he really came around into. I enjoyed him, and then I loved him by the end of the movie. Like he was great, and he's a great actor to begin with. Also, one last thought is Paul Rudd impersonating Hank Pym's wife when she was channeling herself through the quantum. That was great.
I do love in movies anytime an actor has to play a character other than the character that they play in that actual movie. So I thought that was good. My favorite is still when what's his name? Oh man, damn! What the guy who plays Odin?
Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, when he's Loki, played Loki, man, I loved that. I loved it so much more rewatching that movie. He did such a good job, like, you know, to be such an intense character like Odin. You can tell he enjoyed so much playing the other character. I loved that. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, just being like all douchey and pouty, and it was so good. He was mouthing the words of the play, and I was so happy with that. I was like, what is this?
I liked the play. I thought the play was funny, but his portrayal of Loki in disguise was so
also
great.
Liam Hemsworth playing his brother and Matt Damon. Just for
that was great.
No reason.
Fucking amazing.
All right. Shall we move on to our next segment before we get
the next segment is going to be, from now on, after the main course, we're gonna have a little game, and today's game is the Newlybros. The Newlybros. And it's a take on the Newlyweds game. We're going to ask a few questions, and we're going to answer what we think the other person would say. So, number one, first off, what do we win?
An attaboy.
Attaboy. All right. Number one. What is the other person's greatest pet peeve?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. What do you think my greatest pet peeve is?
See, I think I'm gonna fail this one like hilariously.
I know you will, because I know you don't know it.
Just the entire game. Okay, is it being interrupted?
Wow, actually, that is a great guess, because if I really think about it, that's definitely up there. See, this is going to teach us a little bit about ourselves, too. Being interrupted is one of my biggest pet peeves, for sure. But my number one, and I can say honestly that this does beat out being interrupted, is, in fact, oversleeping. Waking up later than I wanted to and being late to something, that is my biggest pet peeve. There is nothing that will change my mood so quickly as oversleeping.
Oh, can I change my answer? Because honestly, yeah, like I hate the feeling that I've like let somebody down. It's a huge. I thought pet peeves were like things that other people did.
Well, pet peeves can be, I mean, you know, whatever the reason, a pet peeve could, like, the thing is, yes, pet peeve is kind of something that other people do, but it's something that happens to you. So if oversleeping somehow wasn't your fault, then it could be a pet peeve as well, I think. So.
Oh. All right. So, well, I mean, so Max told me before when we were writing down all the questions that he knows something about me that I don't know, because I couldn't think of a pet peeve for myself. So all I could think of was I don't like it when people say moist, and that's about it.
No, your biggest pet peeve is 100% ignorance.
Like when other people are ignorant, or when I'm ignorant?
For sure. No, when other people are ignorant.
Like of other people's cultures, or just like they don't know something about something?
When they don't know something about something or cultures, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is go back and listen to our podcast, and it's clear as day how mad ignorance makes you.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. I think I don't like it when people are ignorant in like more like social situations, like if people are racist or sexist, that like really irritates me. But if you don't know something about like a movie that I like, I don't.
No, it's ignorance is using the phrase when it comes to like a fact that has no importance on the greater world. I that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about ignorance of importance, of science, of culture, of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you are. That's what
I mean you. I guess you're not wrong. I guess I'm a little fucking social justice warrior at some points, and I do love me some science enough to dedicate like 8 years of my life to it.
Okay, so just let me remember to let the other person guess before you say what your actual answer was.
I've already ruined the game. I revealed it.
I feel like we should just cancel it, but I'm going to give you another chance.
I just like log off immediately. All right, number 2 is favorite color.
All right, what is my favorite color?
I'm positive you mentioned it before, but I can't fucking remember, so I'm just gonna say blue.
It is not blue. My favorite color is red.
Ah, shit.
I'm gonna go easy on you because honestly, I don't think I've ever said it before.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I feel better. What's my favorite color?
Honestly, your favorite color, I do not know either. I'm pretty sure you never told me, but if I had to guess, I want to say green.
You're absolutely correct.
Yes. All right, 1 point for Max.
The next one is a gimme for Max because I have spoken at length about this on the show.
All right, so Tracy's favorite superhero is Spider-Man. Just
kidding, it's Darkhawk. Everybody's favorite D-list superhero. I actually do love Darkhawk. I love Darkhawk and Moon Knight. They're like a couple. They're a couple of characters that Moon Knight's getting a resurgence, but like both of them don't get.
I mean, we're gonna talk about this in a little while. I think just because of what we've been watching, what we're blah blah blah. But I think we'll talk about Moon Knight in a hot minute.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say that your favorite. Shit.
So like I've said in the past. Well, actually, okay. Go on.
Okay. Are we doing like all superheroes ever, or just like the MCU, or just comics in general?
I don't want to give away the answer, so you just have to.
Shit. I'm fishing.
The question is favorite superhero. So
okay. I'm just gonna. Is it Is it the Winter Soldier?
It is not the Winter Soldier. It's definitely not. Wow, that's an interesting guess because that's never been like one of my top ever.
Okay.
So in the past, I had said previously that when I was younger, growing up, I had two favorites that were kind of tied, and that was Spider-Man and Wolverine. Wolverine was probably my favorite. I think I said that in the first 1 or 2 episodes. And then since as I've grown up, and especially, and I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely influenced by the MCU, but Doctor Strange is my favorite superhero as of right now.
Damn. That's
when I've also said that. I've said that as well, but I think it was brief.
I knew that was like one of your. I knew that was like really high up on your list when we did rank them, and I feel silly now that I didn't think of that. I actually was initially going to say Wolverine, but like in a joking manner. I guess I completely forgot that you said that. Ah, shit. Yeah, we did talk about that.
We did. So Spider-Man and Wolverine were my two biggest comic book character influences of all time, and then when we did our list. We talked about how high Doctor Strange was on my list for films, but I also did say that Doctor Strange is my favorite character in the MCU. And because of where we are in time and in my life, I think I can honestly say that Doctor Strange is my favorite superhero.
Damn. That's solid. I do love Doctor Strange. His movie was really, really good.
All right, that's 2 for Max, 0 for the bitch in Pennsylvania.
Let's move on to number 4, our favorite TV shows.
All right, so you did the first 2 first, so I'm gonna do the second 2 first. So my guess as to your favorite TV show, if you have to choose, is hello. My wife just came home.
Oh.
So
hi, Claudia.
She can't hear you, unfortunately.
Oh.
He says hi.
Thank you for conveying my simple message.
She just waved at the microphone.
Yay!
My guess, if you had to pick a favorite TV show, would be My Hero Academia.
That is a really good guess because I really considered putting that, but I as much as I adore that show, it's more of like that's my favorite show right now. I guess I had to think about this for a hot second because there are shows that I get in the mood for, and there's shows that I just will always be content to watch. And I gotta say Game of Thrones. Honestly, I know that's super like basic bitch of me, but I love Game of Thrones.
Interesting. Okay.
It's really, I mean, like that. If that show is on in any room, I will be content to sit and watch it through its entirety. It is.
I do love me some Game of Thrones, no doubt.
It's fantastic, and season 8 is. I'm expecting great things from season 8, even though, like most of the fans think that season 8's going to be lame because they're not going to find a way to like keep us guessing, which is what everybody loved about the show in the first place. But I think they will find a way to subvert our expectations. I don't know what I think your favorite. I would say Arrested Development for years.
Arrested Development is one of my favorite shows of all time. There's no doubt. But as written right here in front of me, my favorite show of all time is Game of Thrones.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you. That is actually my favorite show. And it was funny because when I wrote it down, I was like, man, I'm going to have to explain myself because it's definitely everyone's favorite show. And it's like, it's not
there's a
original.
Reason, there's a reason it's everybody's favorite show.
It is so well crafted. And that's the thing. One of the reasons I love Arrested Development is because it's very well crafted. And there are other shows that do a really great job, but no show has ever been as well crafted as Game of Thrones. It is so carefully put together. It is so sharp. You know, I just can't. I don't care what you try and argue with me. Like, I can see why one show might speak to you more than another, but when it comes to Game of Thrones, man, it hits all of the marks for me, and it doesn't hit every mark the best out of all time, but I mean, when you compare the average of all the marks that you want to hit to be a great TV show, it's just so far above everything else because it does this and it does this and it does this. Visually, it's incredible. The acting is incredible. The writing is incredible. I mean, it is really fantastic. So yes, my favorite show is Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say, I was afraid of putting that down because everybody's like, yeah, no fucking shit. But I mean, like, there is a reason. Like, people that want to like go against the grain and be like, it's not that good. It's like, no, there is a fucking reason that show is on everybody's, like, in everybody's top 5. I agree with you completely. I was going to say either Arrested Development for you or Cowboy Bebop, honestly.
They're both very high on my lists, but I'm not sure that I would necessarily even place either of those at number 2. But, you know. Anyway, so moving on. So I think... So what is my middle name?
Shit. Templeton. Is it James?
It is not James. James is the most common middle name, I think, in any English-speaking country.
Is it really?
But it is not James. No, my middle name is a touch Germanic, a touch Norse. It is Eric, spelled with a K.
I'm positive at some point you told me that. I am just terrible, though.
Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that you have told me at some point what your middle name is, and I don't remember it either.
Yeah, give me your best guess.
Tracey. I'm going to go with another one of the most all-time used middle names ever. Is it Paul?
No, it's Scott.
What is your middle name? Scott! Fuck, I knew you told me that. Damn it.
Tracy Scott LaFrance.
I knew you told me that.
Hell yeah.
Tracy Scott.
That's me, Tracy motherfucking Scott LaFrance. All right, on to our next one. Let's get risque. What's your favorite sex position?
Well, I'm not going to tell you. You have to guess it.
What's your favorite sex position? All right, you got 3 seconds to answer. Let's go. All right, I'm going to say, is it doggy style?
No, it is not. It is, in fact, 69.
Damn.
I love me. 69.
You are a considerate lover.
That I am. I'm all about it.
Look at you. Damn. All right, can you guess what mine is?
That is a very good question. Because I know you're also very considerate, but
I do love it when my lady friends enjoy themselves.
Is it autoerotic asphyxiation?
Yep, it's just me alone hanging myself with a belt in my closet.
But no, honest guess.
Just like make something up, like, oh, is it the steamroller?
No, I'm thinking cowgirl.
Is actually doggy style. I was projecting.
Oh, okay. I should have known that, but anyway.
I do enjoy it. When you hit it from behind and, just thinking about how wonderful the girl is, and it's just really swell that they let you swell inside them.
And they don't look at your awkward sex faces, yeah.
Exactly. Sex faces are. Get those vinegar strokes, baby.
All right, so question number 7. Now, Tracey and I, we both have younger sisters. We both only have one sibling, and they're both sisters, and they're both younger than us. And so the question is, can we tell each other what our sisters' ages are? Now, I know about Tracey that his sister just graduated college. And so there's two ages that it could potentially be. So I'm guessing 22.
Yep, you're right. Yep, she just graduated undergrad, and she is she's going to Appalachian State now.
All right, Tracey. Now, how old is my sister?
Is it 24?
It is not. It is not. I know that at some point on the podcast we have talked about having sisters, and I believe I did mention that my sister is 18 months younger than me, which makes her 26.
Damn. I thought she was going to be, I don't know. I don't know what I thought. All right. Last question. Just keep this thing moving. If your house catches fire, hopefully it doesn't, but if your house catches fire and you've saved all the living things in it, your family, your siblings, your pets, your whatever, what have you, pet hermit crab, everything's out, what is the one thing that you would go back for? Like an inanimate object or a personal possession.
Okay, so if my house was on fire and I had safely rescued all living things,
yes,
including my wife and my 3 cats, and I had time to go back for one inanimate object.
How are your cats?
My cats are doing just great.
Great.
So you tell me first, what do you think that I would go back for if I had to go back for one item?
I'd say that you go back. I'd say that you go back for like your notebooks, like that have all of your creative musings in them, and your storyboarding and your stuff. Because like I know you got all that stuff in your head, but I feel like you're like me and you like to have it down on paper somewhere. So I'd say you go back in for your artistic endeavors.
That's a good guess. It's a good guess. And it's not totally fair because I know that you don't know this particular fact. But since my wife has gotten pregnant, her fingers have swollen a little bit. So she still wears her engagement ring, but her wedding ring doesn't fit on her fingers anymore. So it is tucked away in a nice, safe little place. So if I had to go back for one object only in a burning house, my wife's wedding ring is what I would go back for.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Okay, so now, if you had to go back for one item in your burning house, are you projecting? Maybe you would go back for your artistic, your notebook. But it's hard.
Tell.
Because my original guess was going to be something different, but now that you said that, it's kind of changed my guess. Would you go back for your notebook full of? I know you have more than one, so it's hard to say. But would you go back for your notebooks full of all of your drawings?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I put.
Yeah,
I was projecting. I know that sounds super selfish, but the way that I was raised, my family, we're not very thingy, if you know what I mean. We don't care about, like, stuff is stuff. But it's a little bit different with my drawings because I know this sounds super fucking cliche, but I do put a little bit of myself into everything I draw. So when I sell my art or when I lose some of my art, I kind of feel that, and I could replace everything else in my house, my guitars, my game systems, my books and everything like that. But it's the art is I really value the stuff that I make.
Yeah, I was gonna guess before we played the game. I was gonna guess your PS4. But
listen, I love video games, but I'll buy that shit again. I don't care.
So the results of the game. Tracy, how many points did you score today?
I think 0.
Yep, Tracy scored 0 points.
0 points, and you got like 3 or 4 on me.
I got 4 points, so I know. So if there were 8 questions, I got 4 out of 8, which is 50%. So obviously, the way that math works, I know 50% more about Tracy than he knows about me.
Well, aren't you just really fucking special? And I
am pretty fucking special.
Moral of the story: Tracy's an uncaring bastard. Don't be friends with him. All right, what's next?
What's next is what have we been enjoying lately in our lives when it comes to pop culture, TV shows, video games, movies, books, comic books, anything that we have sort of had some fun with since the last time that we talked on the podcast.
Oh man, you go first because I have a couple things I want to rave about.
All right, so I'm going to go first, and then I'm going to let you do your thing. So I've been pretty busy with work and pregnancy stuff, so I haven't had a ton of time to really do pop culture in general. But I did play a video game lately from start to finish, actually, if you can believe that.
I cannot. What game was it? That actually intrigues me.
So I've been on a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes kick lately. So I played Sherlock Holmes: Crimes and Punishment, which is definitely the best Sherlock Holmes game I've ever played. It relies pretty strongly on the storytelling and the characters and the deductions, and it is not an action game by any stretch of the imagination. It's very slow moving, and I mean, it's tough because it has to be a little bit linear just so that it guides you towards what deductions you would make and things like that. But I did enjoy it. I had fun, and so I played that from start to finish. It has 6 different cases, and you have to solve each different case along the way. And it is possible to make. One of the cool things about the game is that it's possible to make the wrong conclusion for a case, and if you make the wrong one, it doesn't make you start over. You move on to the next case, and you can find out if you made the right or wrong. But yeah. So I like the way that it's structured. I mean, with a character like Sherlock Holmes, it's hard to make a game based around it, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been on a Sherlock Holmes kick, so I've been rewatching some of Sherlock, the BBC series. Mm-hmm. So
really good show.
I watched the first 3 episodes of the first 2 series. So I watched 6 total episodes, and in the past, I think I've seen up through series 3, but I didn't watch any of series 3 yet. Now, as to the point that we're talking. You can turn the air conditioning on if you want. So anyway, yeah, I've really been enjoying that as well. You don't enjoy it as much as the first time because you inevitably you remember things here and there, but it's still pretty well made. I enjoy the I enjoy the actor's job. I enjoy the writing. I like what they've done. It's hard to find a show that will give you anywhere close to as much enjoyment on the rewatch as it did the first time. So I've been rewatching it, but mostly because I've been I don't know why exactly, but I've really been drawn to the character of Sherlock Holmes again. And let's see. Other than that, I've watched a couple of comedy specials. I watched Dimitri Martin's new Netflix special, which was funny. I wouldn't say it blew me away, but I enjoyed it.
I'm a huge fan of Demetri Martin. I love his. I love his really. He's just got. He's a smart dude, and he's got a great offbeat sense of humor.
I like his pacing. I like how peaceful his comedy is. You know how a lot of comedy can be like really like. It almost feels anxious.
It's aggressive.
It's like it's aggressive. I really like his pacing. I like how it's kind of peaceful. It's slow. It's calm.
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Exactly. I like it.
A lot of there's a lot of comedy that relies on like shock value and making your audience uncomfortable, and he like finds a way to circumvent all that and just be like Brian Regan's another big one that I like, who's not like a shock or like an insult comic or something like that. And I love my sense of, I like dark comedy every once in a while. But if you're not feeling like dealing with negativity in the world, Demetri Martin and Brian Regan are solid choices.
I've been listening to some podcasts as well, as I always do. I really do like the Weekly Planet, and the Weekly Planet has introduced me, because they've become part of the same network, to Do Go On. They're both Australian podcasts. One is about kind of what we talk about, some similar things. They do a lot of comic book stuff. They say that it's a comic book movie podcast, so to speak, but I would say that they pretty much will do any big budget movie that comes out. Any mainstream movie that will come out, they'll talk about it. And then Do Go On is a podcast where basically there's 3 hosts, and they'll take it in turns to do a bit of a report on a topic. And I've really enjoyed that, and it's actually given me a bit of inspiration to look into some other podcast ideas, as I was talking to Tracey about. So I think that the idea is really, really good, and I enjoy what they do with it. But what else have I been doing lately? I think that's pretty much it. I watched the Russo brothers commentary. The Russo brothers did a commentary with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the 2 of the head writers of Avengers Infinity War, and they did a commentary over the movie, and I watched that, and I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. I won't talk too much about it, because
I'd love to watch that. Yeah.
It's on the DVD. I mean, I watched it on the digital copy that I bought off of iTunes, so I'm sure that it's also on your DVD copy. So
yeah, I would 100% watch. I would 100% watch that. But yeah, well, cool, man. I'm considering rewatching Sherlock as well. That show was hugely. I love the show, and it was hugely influential to me in terms of like my personal like humor stylings and writing stylings and everything like that. Just like being smart and to the point and everything like that, having sort of that sharp wit. I know that doesn't show on this podcast, but I swear sometimes I have a sharp wit.
I mean, it hasn't shown up to this point, but I feel like I have enough faith in you that maybe at some point it will come out.
Oh, man, I love you too.
All right, so tell me a little bit about what you've been up to, because I think that pretty much wraps up my pop culture experiences lately.
All right, so I don't want to talk for another hour, because I've actually had a bit of a. I was telling Max I had a bit of a renaissance personal renaissance in terms of books and video games. So I'm just going to talk about a few of my favorite things that I've done lately. Number one, first of all, to find a new series to get involved with and to fill the hole in my heart that Game of Thrones has left. I started a book series called The Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, and I started with the first book in the series, which is called The Name of the Wind, and it is one of the most fine-tuned, well-crafted literary worlds I've ever been drawn into. And I mean, like, it's a fantasy world, very grounded in like the metaphysical, but also it's well grounded in reality as well. There's magic involved in the world, but it's cool and scientific, and it follows rules. And the main character is basically this man who has become a living legend, so much so that the common folk of the world aren't even sure if he exists, because the tales of his accomplishments are so out there. But eventually a scribe or a scriv tracks him down and gets him to divulge his life story to him so he can write it down to publish for the masses. And so the after a short intro sequence, which if you can get through, the rest of the story is fantastic. It's basically a story about a man named Kavath telling of everything that he's accomplished throughout his life in his own words, and it is just an incredible. It is one of the most gripping books I've ever read. Fantastic. I know that there's a second book in the series because it is a chronicle, but Rothfuss hasn't put out a third, so everybody in his fan club is anxiously waiting. Please check it out. Name of the Wind is the first in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Really, really good. Give Rothfuss some love. Second, I have been. I started playing, and Max. I was talking to Max about this a little before we left, because I think I did a review of the original trilogy. Because I played the first 3 God of Wars before I left Key West, and then I just got the reboot / sequel, I guess, because they completely redid the franchise. The new God of War game is really, really good. It is really heartfelt, and just so much effort and love was put into creating like a desperately realistic portrayal of a father-son relationship. Like, I find myself tearing up during the game, which is really weird considering Blood and Tits was the name of the game for most of the other games in the franchise, which again, amazing gameplay, but like the stories didn't age well into a PC culture, honestly.
Well, I think it's not just a PC culture. I think people are just asking for more.
Yeah,
exactly. In years prior, you could. Okay, so let's put it this way. To me, at least from what I've understood, is that in years prior, digital effects and the flow were enough to make people flock to a game. But now, there are so many games that have good graphics, good graphics in quotation marks. I mean, if you remember what people were saying good graphics was when we were in, high school and middle school in those years, like, it's just any game that's put out has at least solid graphics, at least fun to play graphics. So now people want more. They want story. They want
substance.
Yeah, they want substance, which to me makes me happy. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons I got turned off of video games for a while, is because there wasn't any depth to them for the most part.
Yeah. And I have some some varied views on that in terms of the video game medium, because I feel like the video game medium, because it is more than just a sort of passive experience. Games can be so much more to us in many different ways, because a game can present itself to us in similar ways cinematically that a movie can, but also it gets to us in terms of, like, the player has an agency over how the game plays out and interacts with it, and so there's kind of like a motor response to the game. Like you get more of your senses invested into it, and you get more of yourself invested into it because of the fact that you have agency over the character. You're projecting yourself as the character, following their plight and everything like that. So you feel that more, and you can feel it in more ways than just seeing and hearing what's going on. You can feel it in the way that you play games, and I can talk about that in a bit. But all I got to say is, wow, God of War! What you made a 180, and it was for the better. The game is amazing. The gameplay is brutally fun. It is one of the toughest games I've ever played. The combat is incredibly exacting. The game asks a lot of you in terms of like what it expects of you skill wise and what it expects of you emotionally, because that game really makes you think about as a soon to be dad. Max, I think we should play through that game together just so you can feel what I'm feeling when I'm watching these surprisingly tender father-son moments. Like, holy crap, like 2 games ago Kratos was like you playing a mini game to fuck Aphrodite and slashing people in half, and in this one he's just like, boy, I'm going to teach you how to be a man. And like, but like,
I wonder if the creators of the game may have had some life changes along the way.
Well, no, it's because I think either the creative it was one of the directors of Santa Monica Studios that like created the game. So one of the guys that was like in charge of like the ideas of the game and the writing, he had a son in between creating the first game and now, and you feel that oozing out of every single scene. Like he definitely, there was like passion put into this, and the way that he developed that father-son relationship, it's breathtaking. I can't sing that game's praises enough. Really, really good. And then the other game that I want to give a shout out to that I've been playing lately is Dead Cells. And so I've been playing around a lot more with my Switch, because I was very focused on the PlayStation, but I love my Switch. It's a pretty dope piece of hardware. They've been putting a lot of indie games on the Nintendo Store, which I know a lot of people are clamoring for those big AAA titles. Like, people are looking for the next Mario game. People are looking for the Smash Brothers games, what have you. The indie games that they have on the Nintendo Store right now are freaking fantastic. A Hat in Time. They remastered the Mega Man X collections. Some other weird ones in there. I just gotta say, Dead Cells is a game that I picked up. It is a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but that's not really doing it justice. It is comes straight out of a deep love and respect from games like Castlevania and Metroid, and it is so good, well paced. Asks a lot of its players and these environments that are constantly changing and forcing you to adapt to new styles of play. It even has this really interesting death system where it kind of like creates an explanation for why you respawn after you die, rather than the game's just like, oh yeah, it's the game, so you have lives, so you respawn. No, this game has like some deep commentary on like what a game is and what your character is in terms of the thing. It's hard to explain. Go out and buy that game if you love Castlevania, Metroid, any of those games, like the roguelike elements. Really freaking fun to play. Like, it is like one of those games that you carve your own path. You beat things up however you want to beat things up. Complete player agency. Really great. And that's about that for me.
Okay, cool. So I guess that wraps up the podcast for us. The Tearful reunion, as I would call it.
Yep, I've been sobbing the entire time.
I think that the last thing that I want to say before we sign off is that I'm with the game, I'm the best.